Renfield is a movie where we follow a man named, well, Renfield. Who would have guessed, right? He's played by Nicholas Hoult and serves as a familiar or a servant to Dracula, played by my man Nicolas Cage, which automatically makes the movie enjoyable at the very least. Does it suck, or are you in luck? Stay tuned to the end to find out. Let's get into it. Although I absolutely love the movie, I'd be lying if I said it didn't have its fair share of blemishes. Truthfully, for every good, there's an equally bad thing that comes in for the counter. Every yang does have its yang. The acting is phenomenal from Hoult and Cage, which is to be expected with an equally charismatic performance from Ben Schwartz, who is criminally underrated. The rest of the actors are definitely hit and miss though, with some that have been good in other roles, putting in the same energy as the wooden boards in the background. Awkwafina is a big example of this. She has quite possibly the worst character introduction of the entire year, and even though she has some solid scenes, there's just as many that are grating to sit through. Although I don't like her in the majority of her roles, and I do think she's been cast far too often if I'm being honest regarding my biases, here she does the best she can with what she has, and it's the writing and dialogue that's the real culprit. They shoehorn in police and family drama, using her character to be the moral compass and the epitome of good, but spoiler alert, skip to this timestamp if you don't want spoiled. 3, 2, 1. She's written so poorly that they have to literally make the entire police department dirty, every single cop, just in order to make her look good. I am dead serious here. If your character is written so bad that you have to make everybody worse just for them to be good, you've really screwed something up. Monumentally jacked it up. Thankfully, they do far better with the other characters. Dracula really hams it in. I mean, it's hilarious and I love it. Whereas Renfield actually feels like somebody that is struggling with something, has internal demons, has stuff he's trying to work through that is going to lead to character development in the future. They have a good dynamic and they bounce off one another pretty well. I just don't know why the third main character, for lack of a better term, is one that is developed, used, and utilized so poorly that they basically just exist to push the plot forward and be that beacon of hope for the audience. I just wasn't a fan, and even though she does have some good scenes that she does pull off, her character is just so poorly written that it's hard to actually care about her. She's got her own struggles and her own problems, but they're made out to be more of a joke than anything, so whenever I'm supposed to take them seriously, it's almost impossible for me to, especially whenever they are basically just cliche after cliche that you've seen in every other movie and every other show that has ever existed that has a cop in it. Stepping away from the characters themselves before I have an aneurysm, they handle the psychological aspect of codependency, manipulation, and gaslighting fairly well, but they also ham-fisted so much that it feels preachy at times, and that does clash with the comedy, which is admittedly decent for a few laughs here and there, but only a few, with the tone not quite meshing well with the serious subject matter, making it all feel a bit disjointed once it all comes together. The gore and makeup effects have the ability to be good as well, with Dracula's makeup as he goes through certain stages something that definitely deserves a shout out and some praise. The good scenes, however, are also meshed with some bad ones, and get overshadowed with horrendous CGI blood that again, makes it so it's hard to say, oh well, this is good. Due to the overabundance of CGI blood, that equals many continuity errors as well. Scenes where characters should be absolutely soaked, completely drenched in blood, but then they come out walking away dry. Scenes where wounded characters are all of a sudden not wounded and have no signs of wounds or even act like they were wounded to begin with, or injuries randomly clean themselves up to look more presentable. It's extremely noticeable and was driving me absolutely crazy the entire film. The action scenes are well choreographed and fun to watch for the most part, with over-the-top violence, gore, and superhuman abilities to really test the weak stomach amongst us. It's all also hindered by what I brought up earlier earlier though. The inconsistencies during and after those scenes that make it almost impossible to feel like they truly cared about the movie and the stakes and the consequences and anything that really would have you on the edge of your seat going, oh, this fight scene could end badly for our heroes, because it's not going to, because nothing does. Nothing seems to have a consequence to it. You get shot, walk it off. It's like it never even happened. You get wounded, walk it off like it never even happened. And some moments actually have an in-movie reason for that, an in-universe reason, because they get healed with Dracula's blood, but not everybody does. So if you suffered a bullet wound in the shoulder, and it looks like it hurt pretty dabbling bad, you probably shouldn't be able to take on grown men right after whenever you're Awkwafina. In most movies, one of the main characters getting shot would be something that would be considered a spoiler. I would have put a spoiler warning up there, but I'm not going to here because it literally has no impact on the movie whatsoever at all, like it never even happened. Like it never happened to begin with. And again, Awkwafina taking on grown adults, probably should have chose better casting. The lore and the world building isn't well established either, so if you're looking for that, which is a staple of current vampire media, then yeah, no, look elsewhere as well. They pretty much made it up as they went. One moment, sun hurts vampires in a way that almost absolutely destroys them. The next moment, it's just a little tiny bee sting, it barely does anything. Another walk it off moment. In the end though, Awkwafina did warm up to me. The ending was pretty predictable. You could probably figure it out by the first, 5 minutes, but it actually ends instead of setting up a sequel, which also gives it points. Cage, Hoult, and Schwartz stole the show, with every other character feeling like they either exist to die or to push the plot forward. Shout out to the actors from the Codependence Anonymous thingy though, they were a hoot and definitely deserve some love. It just feels like a movie that's unsure of what it wants to be. If it wants to be an action movie, a horror movie, a comedy, or a commentary on the flaws of having a victim mentality. It's too much all at once and it never truly excels at any of it. It's a lot of fun if you turn your brain off, and enjoyable if you don't, but you really need to temper your expectations for this one. Vampires are my favorite creature of the night. Nick Cage is one of my favorite actors, so I'm trying my best here not to let that cloud my judgment when I say that I did have a lot of fun with it. But it's definitely one of those movies that is more of a popcorn flick than anything. One of those guilty pleasures you bring up whenever there's not a better movie to talk about. One of those maybe once a year when you're feeling down on your luck kind of movies. It has a nice positive tone at times, but it also has a dark and dreary one at others. The whole thing comes full circle in a way that does make sense, I guess. It's riding the coattails of far better movies, let's put it that way. If I had to give it a number, I would probably give it a 7, just because of frickin' Nick Cage being in it and vampires being in it. That is totally my biased answer, but if I'm giving an unbiased one, just due to the fact that it's trying to find an equilibrium between good and bad and making just the most average movie because of it, makes me give it a 5. A 6 if I'm taking the fact that the directing was actually pretty good at times. I hate that this wasn't the masterpiece that I thought it was going to be, even if it's just a masterpiece in being a Nicolas Cage movie, which have a category all of their own sometimes. We didn't get enough development for the characters that we had, and there was just too many for us to pay attention to for me to really feel like I connected with any of them. Due to popular demand, I brought back the Does It Suck or You in Luck, and I felt like a vampire movie was the best time to do that. But just because I asked that question doesn't mean I'm going to say that a movie sucked. I gave you the information, you know what to do with it. I think you're in luck if you watch it, but only if you know what you're getting into. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. For more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day. Thank you.